What's up guys, I'm Joe Youngblood. I'm a habitat specialist with Whitetail Habitat Solutions alongside Jeff Sturgis, Dylan, and Kevin. I hope you guys are doing well today. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about kind of my go bag, if you will. And this is new to me this year, but I purchased one of these FHF chest rigs is what they're called. And if you go on their website, it seems like they're maybe the same company alongside First Light and Meat Eater. I think they're one organization, or maybe one but out the other, etc. But they tend to all work together, and I thought this was going to suit my needs quite well. I've only used it for one hunt, which you may have seen in my last video on my dad's first deer. That was an amazing experience, and I appreciate all of your really nice comments. So I enjoyed it, and hope you got a kick out of it as well. But I find myself running into situations, last year where, of course, I want to hunt my own land, but it's not always the best time. And whether, I'm looking in multiple different areas and the weather is different, or maybe, of course, different areas have better prime wind directions. Maybe there's, an area on your property that just doesn't seem to produce as much, and that's what the wind direction is for that day, so you want to go hunt some public land or do something different. And that's what I feel, most good hunters do. You have to go to where the hunting is going to be most beneficial for you, and that could include what deer in the area, neighborhood, other hunters, weather, wind directions, all the way down to the food, of course, which is very important. But regardless, we're not always on our own land, and I find myself going from my land to out-of-state hunts, to other public land here in Michigan, and doing what I need to do to really have fun chasing these mature deer. That's my goal. And I found that, especially last year, I was grabbing a backpack, but then sometimes maybe I used a climber or a saddle and it wasn't compatible, but then I was going to a blind or a hang-on, and I needed something that I could take no matter what. I knew that I would have one go bag, which is going to be this, that I could take regardless. If I want to still throw a backpack on and I have this on my chest, awesome. If I don't need the backpack, awesome. I will just have this on my chest with kind of the essentials, if you will. So I'm going to go through this, if you are interested, and kind of go piece by piece what I have in here and kind of how I've gone about things. But from just an outside of this perspective, it works very well because it's right here on my chest. It sits high, it's out of the way of the bow. I can keep things at the ready, like my rangefinder, for example. But if I'm not going to be going on a far walk on public land, and I'm going to be heading over to my private land and just going up into a ground blind, and I want to use the camera that I'm recording this with a nice 100 to 500 lens, and it's going to definitely add some poundage. I'm not going to just carry it out with one hand, most likely. I can still throw a backpack on with this, do a short walk, and have maybe a little bit more of a comfortable hunt in one of my ground blinds or towers. So, but on the flip side, on public land, if I'm going to be, I think if you saw one of my shorts, I got some one sticks. They're very light climbing sticks. They're only a pound each. I think I have 3 of them, and I did a short on that if you happen to see that on the channel. They're only 3 pounds each, and then I have my cruiser platform, and I just took some kind of the rubber bungees and I strapped the sticks onto the platform and put on some of my old climbing tree stand straps on the platform. And so I throw those over my shoulder. I can have my platform and my sticks on my back, which is probably 4 plus 3, right around 7 to 8 at most pounds. And then this on my chest, maybe a couple things in the pockets, but I'm good to go. So not only lightweight, but this is giving me the ability to that no matter what hunt I'm doing, I'm going on a public, I'm going on a private, what have you, I have mainly one thing to grab. I don't need to sit at my truck for a half hour, moving things out of one bag into another, making sure I have this, and like you guys are probably familiar with, getting to your stand and all of a sudden you have no headlamp and you're a little bit nervous finding your way out. Thank God for HuntWise and other technology that we now have. But okay, diving into this. So on the front, again, this is the chest rig. They also have a bino harness. So the main difference with these is that this chest rig is a zipper. So you have a zipper here across the top. It opens up and it's basically a big pouch. Then you have these additional accessories. This is a rangefinder pouch, very nice, silent, one-handed use, bungee. There are 2 different sizes, so be careful on the rangefinder pouch, depending on, they have a nice list what rangefinder you have. Make sure you get the right one. I have this Ranger 1300 Vortex, fits nicely in this small pouch. And I'm glad I did not go with a larger one, so don't make that mistake. Then this is a small pouch, I believe, for like GPS. You know, small, what is that, one reach, I think it's called. I don't have one, or in reach if you're out west, you know, and you need to be able to communicate, or for emergencies, which is nice. Personally, I just keep a very small hook. So if I get to a hang-on on my property and I don't have somewhere to put my bow, maybe I adjusted it or moved it for whatever reason, I have a little extra hook. And then also an extra camera battery. I won't always need this, but if I do have the big camera with me, I have a lightweight tree arm, an extra battery. This is one of the little spots. I haven't totally figured out what I want to do with this pouch. For now, I have these on here. So I don't know if this was necessary for me to get personally, but something about symmetry, I don't know, I needed it. I also have this additional little rectangular pouch that goes right through the mole loops, I believe it's pronounced, and kind of hangs in the bottom. And that is kind of my kill kit. If you haven't heard of that, it's basically what you need once you have killed a deer. So in one spot, one extra pouch, I'm gonna have things like gloves if I want them, some wipes when you're done. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and you just don't have a stream nearby, it's kind of nice. And then I use a replaceable blade, outdoor edge. The dog chewed a little bit of the end here, so ignore that. But really like these replaceable blade knives. I know there's a few different ones. I believe the Havilon, this outdoor edge one, and probably even a couple others now. But being able to get your knife out every time and have it scalpel sharp has been a game changer for me. I've never been in love with gutting deer, and I think honestly half the reason was because I was prying away at the deer, even just trying to open it up with half dull knife. A lot of these cheaper, I point because my kitchen's this way, but a lot of these cheaper, you know, knife sharpeners that I have, and many of you possibly have or throw in your kitchen, they just don't do a great job. I don't care how perfect I try and make it, it doesn't seem very great. I know I'll be purchasing an electric one, but I digress. So these are great if you're interested, and I'll throw one replaceable blade as well in here, just in case I do need a new blade, or maybe it's an elk hunt or something different. So I'll have all that. I'll potentially have, I need to replenish this because of the last deer that we just took, but some zip ties. So a zip tie or 2, different tags. Some are sticky for different states and they wrap around the antlers, of course. Some don't, so having a zip tie or 2 to put your kill tag on the deer and then really be done. So a zip tie, extra blade, and I'll keep that all in here. The other benefit to that is if I need to quickly get out to a hunt or whatever and I don't have a kill kit on another bag, I can just take this off and know that I'm good to go. And so it's nice and lightweight. So that's just this bottom pouch. And then on the right side here, I'll have my rangefinder. I did purchase this extra tether, just in case I accidentally drop. I don't want it to ting on the tree stand and or lose it, of course. And so you don't need to get that, but it is something that I purchased. I want to say this was the long lanyard. Don't quote me on that though, but they do have 2 sizes for that as well. Then in the center here, this is just a simple little milkweed pouch. You know, most of the time the apps are right, but at the same time it's nice if you're not sure about thermals or swirling winds in a particular area to have a very lightweight, nice little pouch to pull some milkweed out of. So going inside, the big item of course is the binos. These are just some Vortex Viper, very nice. Had these for a few years and they work great. On that subject, the one thing I noticed during the hunt last year, or excuse me, just this past 2 weekends ago when we took the doe in the antlerless season, is since this is a zipper chest rig, it is not the pull tab like the bino harness would have. Made a pretty big difference, I'm not gonna lie. And I noticed that passing the binoculars back and forth to my dad, with a little bit of movement, these zippers were sliding down. And I didn't like that because I don't think we're gonna wanna be in a tree and every time you take your binoculars out, you're gonna hear that, okay? Or you know, not quite that exaggerated, but it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna be doing it. I doubt you are gonna be doing it. So I'm kind of surprised they haven't done anything with that personally. However, I had my Aunt Lori sew this awesome idea we came up with, and my wife helped with the idea. I was super fortunate enough to get this done, but it's a hair tie essentially, and it is sewed on one end of the zipper and a button placed on the other end. So this does not come with it. This is something that we just did off the cuff, but it allows me to leave the zippers open, have the binos in the pouch, and then anytime I want to go in or out, I can still have a one-handed way to get my binoculars each time a deer's coming. I don't need to close the zipper and worry about it. When we went to go get that deer that my dad had shot, and I had left this just open on the top, by the time we hadn't even gutted it actually, we just went and looked at the deer and walked back, this was all the way open, and it was kind of hanging on my chest like this. And anything could have fallen out. So be cognizant of that, guys. If you don't think you're gonna be doing the same idea as me, maybe you just have binos and a couple things that you wanna store. And again, I believe some of these accessories also work with the bino harness. You might not need this chest rig. Maybe the bino harness is just gonna be better for you, and you're gonna have that silent pull tab, in and out, in and out, in and out, and it just might work better. So bear that in mind. But I thought for turkey hunting, maybe for some waterfowl, for some different things, because I like to record stuff, I wanted a little more room to be able to store everything, so I think it's gonna work. So outside of the binos and this main pouch, we have our headlamp, this black diamond. It's a battery and charging. I looked honestly when I was traveling somewhere to see if they still had these, or some specific black diamond AAA, because I believe this had specific AAA batteries that it came with, but you can use whatever. I just wasn't sure about the recharging. I don't know if they make these anymore. They very well could, but I thought it was awesome because if those batteries are dying, I keep a little micro USB in the truck, and if you're on a multi-day trip, I know I'm gonna be good to go. So it's one of few things that I'll need to take in and out of this to keep it charged, but well worth it and fairly obvious. My bow release, sometimes I keep an extra, but usually this is my main one. I like one, not to go down a rabbit hole, but one that swivels, so that D-loop when I'm pulling back is not being twisted and things of that nature. So my buddy Terrell in North Dakota had one like this. It is a True Ball Boss X, and so I like that a lot. Also recently made, because I tend to lose them every year somehow, a new pull-up rope. So if I'm again on a using the saddle, or even on my property, go to a hang-on stand and I don't have a pull-up rope there for whatever reason, maybe we left it there all year and it blew off, what have you, you can buy some $10, $20 big thing of paracord. And then on Amazon, I found these little, I don't think they're quite plastic, they were supposed to be, but it's kind of one of those materials that are in between plastic and metal, and burned some edges and kind of slipped them through this so I can easily wrap my bow, whatever, and have a very nice, lightweight and small pull-up rope. So great idea. If I was being picky, I'd make these a little bit bigger, just for easy use when you're wearing gloves. But perfect for what I'm doing. Then for those one sticks, there was a recall on them. So if you did buy one sticks in a certain period and you have not checked your email or had them tested, they sent them right back to me probably within, I'd say 5 to 7 days or so, with a little tab that had said that means that they were fully inspected and good to go. Some I guess have some sort of maybe a microfracture or something that did not allow them to hold as much weight as they should. So this is just a spare rope to hold a one stick up. So if I have one break, if I'm out again or a multi-day hunt, and they're very sharp. So if you didn't see that short on the I did on YouTube on the one sticks, I've cut myself literally twice in barely using them a couple of times. And if you hit that on the rope and it starts to shred, it's not safe, and it's good to kind of keep a spare. So also very light, a little bit of chapstick. There's quite a few pockets in here, so that's kind of a main pocket, and then just a little side, what do you call it, a little side, oh, I just noticed that accidentally closed something with some stitching. So I'll have to look at that. But in this other pocket, we have the zip ties I spoke about. So those are gonna go in the kill kit, and I believe my licenses, and I just had a bag of my licenses on the inside because I typically am at least hunting 2 states in the year, and all these tags start to add up. It gets a little ridiculous, to be honest, not only financially, but paper. So this is just Pennsylvania and Michigan, I believe, for these years. I don't think I have drawn anything else for this year. So those will also be in the kill kit or in here anyway. My licenses. What else? Anything else in here? I have a pen and a Band-Aid or two, just in case you get some blisters, you're out west, whatever. I've had to rely on a friend and needing a pen to fill out to your tag, so make sure you guys are prepared with that. What else? That is good as far as that goes. Just another Band-Aid. And then we have a couple pouches here in the back. And on one end I have just some trimming shears. This is actually a knife, saw, etc. I've had these for a while. They're falling apart just a tad. It is a Leatherman brand, but the thing that gave me the idea is obviously if you need to, one, trim a couple short branches when you get up into a new spot, public land, maybe you haven't climbed that tree before. Also, if you use like a redneck ghillie blind and there's a lot of those little frilly things, it is nice to sometimes trim those. One, for the zipper gets stuck on a lot of those little frills. And then also, of course, you need to be able to see and shoot without nicking one of those. You'd be shocked how little you need to nick to really, affect your arrow flight. And then in this last pocket over here, I have just a couple extra hand warmers. I prefer to wear nice little, thin gloves out there, so I have good dexterity for my release and things of that nature. And so if I can throw these in a pouch of some sort, or maybe a jacket has a pouch or whatever to put my hands in with thin gloves, those come in handy. And I always like to have a spare, just in case you run into one where you pull out and it's hard already and the bag's been leaking or what have you, and the hand warmer's just no good. So that, I believe, rounds out just about everything that I'm going to be carrying in this. Not too much else. I want to say I had a couple other spare batteries somewhere for the headlamp. If you use a different camera or a GoPro, another spare battery for that. And then let's say I need to pull a card from a camera or two, I can go ahead, take even just a tiny SD card out, throw a couple in here, have some spares. So there's not much else. I would need grunt tube. I would throw the grunt tube in here. And I want to say that is about it. A side reason that I am kind of going this mobile route, if you will, for most of my hunts anyway, is that when I am going to be doing my public land hunts, I plan on using the new iPhone, 14 Pro I think it is, with this upgraded camera for some of my sits. I have this bigger camera that I will use from time to time, but I found this thing online. I have shot with it and tested it, not while hunting. I might have a little example for you. I'll throw up if I do. Just from target shooting and seeing how it works, but essentially on my Matthews here, found this company called Painted Arrow. And they have a magnet that goes on the back of your case. I have a nice kind of plain flat case here. It's supposed to be good for 20-foot drops. I was thinking exactly about my tree stands. But this magnet goes on your case and you can get ready for your shot and basically slide this magnet to this clip that goes right over your stabilizer. And it screws right in. There's a little foam dampener on the bottom, and it just connects your phone to the same direction that you will be shooting. And that's neat. So these new phones, they record 4K, 30 frames per second, and I believe up to 60. They can do slow-mo. They can do so many different things. Get some macro shots. I hate to only be a purist with my mirrorless camera that I have, but the convenience of having this in my pocket or my chest rig and be able to go back 3, 4, however many miles potentially for some of your hunts, even if it's just a few, to leave 10 pounds of camera gear, different camera arms, camera and lens, microphone, etc. home. You can even get an external mic for your phone, but to be able to do that, I just get my phone and at least give you guys either an additional angle or the main angle for something that just happens to be you know, a little more convenient and farther away from camp, this seems like an awesome idea. So testing it out more this year, but it does seem pretty fun and maybe something for you guys to think about. So the main point for me doing this for you guys is, one, I guess if you do see anything here that you think would be a good add to your go bag, but also give you an idea of something that you could potentially use if you're going to be moving around, using different styles of hunting, different areas for your hunts. This is something I can go to my truck, I know that I can just grab this, and if there's something else I want to add to my pocket or whatever, I can do that, but I'm not going to be changing this in and out for every hunt. I'm just going to be good to go. I hope you picked one or two things that might help you for this season. Again, this is FHF Gear chest rig. You can go on their website and First Light's website and check it out and see what they have. And they have a ton of other accessories, from pistol holders to different attachments for their different you know, things you might need. It's pretty amazing, and it's a great idea because you guys can totally customize it the way that you want, like I am. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next time.